This weekend, the GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS, comes to somewhere a little different because for the first time since 2011, we're at Magny Cours, and it's the first time the Sprint Cup has taken centre stage here. It's been a frantic turnaround after the Endurance Cup race at the Nürburgring a week ago, but here at the home of the Ligier Museum, the former home of the French Grand Prix, there's a very busy weekend of action with a host of national championships on track as well. Last time out we had a triple header at Misano, and for race 3 it was Thomas Neubauer in the Lexus who led to the first corner. The Audis were almost tripping over themselves further back, as in the pack as well. Jules Gounon was on his toes in the Bentley, trying to hustle the car up the order. He was in a fight with the Michael Grenier-driven Lamborghini. That was spat out over the curb, but it slotted back into the pack. Race 2 winners, Raffaele Marciello and Tibor Boguslavski in the 88 Mercedes, striving to work their way up through the order, but mired in midfield traffic early on. Gounon was still fighting. He came up against the 163 Emil Frey racing Lamborghini that took an unorthodox line out of the last corner, bounced over the curb and dropped down the field, releasing Gounon then to challenge the sister car. Also in strife, the number 52 Ferrari running wide onto the pit straight in the Pro-Am contest. Number 108 Bentley then got involved with the Audi of the Avega brothers, turning that car around and firing the WRT entry over the gravel. Arthur Rougier was an early pit visitor, so also Thomas Neubauer. The Charles Weerts and Dries Van Thor Audi, another car to watch. But as Nelson Panciatici took over number 107 Bentley, that would carry on the fight with Aurelien Panis, now at the wheel of the Lexus. The two of them were busy squabbling. So too 88 Mercedes as Marciello and Boguslavski tried to get up the order, but they were still thwarted by the Emil Frey racing Lamborghinis. Number 31 Audi was another car looking to gain ground, but big drama for Panciatici. The back of the Bentley stepped out, off he went, and he took Panis in the Lexus off with him. That brought out the safety car. On the restart, it was the Charles Weert Dries Van Thor Audi that led away and would hang on just to take the win ahead of the Arthur Rougier and Christopher Haase Audi, the Attempto Audi in third place. The best of the rest being 4th and 6th for Mercedes. That meant 2 wins out of 3 races at Misano for Dries Van Thor and Charles Weert in the opening Sprint Cup round of GT World Challenge Europe. For Santalot Racing, there is the potential of a win on home soil this weekend and a shuffle around in the driver lineup. Arthur Rougier back behind the wheel as it's a Sprint Cup round, and he comes here second in the championship.
For sure, I'm really looking forward to this race. It's an home race for me, and it's an home race for the team too. And yeah, we're gonna try to get the momentum we have in Misano and maybe do even better. Let's see. Raced quite a bit in this track in Formula 4 and last year in GT4, but it's new with the GT3 and it's quite a bit different. It's quicker for sure. There is good overtaking opportunities, so maybe in Adelaide, the turn 5, maybe the best one, but there is a couple of other places where it may be more surprising for the others and you can overtake too, so let's see.
Charles Weert gets better and better every time out. It's only his 2nd season racing at this level, and he took 2 wins in those 3 races at Misano, partnered by Dries Van Thor, and he's looking good for more success this weekend.
I think our car is pretty strong, especially on the sprint race. Dries is also really strong, so hopefully we can just keep the pace we had in Misano here in Magny Cours and try to get as much as points as possible.
Jules Gounon has had a good season thus far in terms of pace, and this is the first time we've seen the Bentley Continental GT3 at Magny Cours. So, bridesmaid all too often this year, can he be on the top step this weekend?
So yeah, this year has been strong. We have been P2 in Imola with K-Pax in quali, P2 in Misano, P2 in Nürburgring. So I hope maybe we can step one position for quali and put a strong race together. It's important for the team as a French team, and it's important for me also in Magny Cours to try to do well.
Albert Costa has raced here before, but after being in the wars at the very first corner of the last Endurance Cup race, he needs to make amends for Emil Frey Racing this weekend.
You know, I've been here already, 10 years ago and 11 years ago, 2009, where I won double race and double pole position, and in World Series I was in the first row, and then I finished P5 in the second race. So it's great memories. Hopefully I can do a nice result for me and for the team, and I will do my best.
Aurelien Panis behind the wheel of the Lexus knows this car has got lots of potential, but it hasn't had the results thus far this year.
It's difficult for sure for us in race. We have a lot of difficulties to finish the race. Unfortunately, we have some bad luck also, so this is a shame. For sure, the car is really competitive. We are really happy with that. The pace is really good. Thomas did an amazing job in Misano, and with team in endurance, we are also quite fast. But now we have to finish and to score points.
Don't forget the Silver Cup either. It's jointly led by Stephen Palette and Simon Gachet, and Stephen Palette looking for more points on home soil.
So happy about the beginning of the season, because you know, with Simon and the team we didn't know no testing at all before the first meeting, and for sure it's hard for everybody, and finally it's good weekend with 2 victories and 1 third place, and we're currently leading, and so happy about that. Yeah, we will see now.
Second in the Silver Cup is Ezequiel Perez Compact. This year he is player manager of Mad Panda Motorsport. He races as well as being the team principal, and he's enjoying the challenge of night racing as well this year.
It was quite nice to try it at night. It's never, you never get a chance to try a new circuit at night, and was quite a nice experience. It's a really fast track. It's gonna be a lot of, let's say, tight racing, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch for sure. I think we have a good car. Yesterday we were doing good times, and yeah, it feels really nice. So yeah, we have a strong package.
Drama though for CMR. Its 108 Bentley burnt out in the test sessions during the week. A replacement car built up ready for Hugo Chevalier.
The car is completely destroyed. The team went today and yesterday to Silverstone to take another car from Bentley, and normally the car will arrive the afternoon or at the end of the afternoon.
A welcome return then to GT3 Racing 2 Magny Cours. We are set for the first of our 2 races here this weekend. The teams are going to be out bright and early tomorrow morning qualifying for tomorrow's race. They qualified for this mid-afternoon in the sunshine, and now we are set to go racing on a very dark circuit indeed. David Addison and John Watson looking forward to what could really be a great leveler, John. Not many of the drivers on this grid have raced here before, and any reference points they thought they had from qualifying have just disappeared into the darkness.
Well, let's have a look at this Magny Cours circuit. 4.4 kilometers, 2.7 miles, 17 corners. This is the internal part of the circuit. If we did a lap at the speed of the Spark around the circuit, we would have set a new lap record. But of course the circuit is dominated by that long back straight, culminating in the Adelaide hairpin, which is always, well, first of all, it's the principal point of overtaking, easily defended, but also it is a point where there's always great, exciting, and sometimes physical action.
At the end of the lap, you've got that little flick through the chicane, and of course, if you go straight on there, you end up in the pit lane. Now, down on the grid is Gemma Scott, and she is with Ferrari driver Andrea Bertolini.
Andrea, we are towards the back of the grid here. It's fair to say you've got a lot of work to do to get the car up towards the front at the start.
Yeah, we have a lot of work, but we are happy about the car, so we try to do our best to be back on top on the Pro-Am class. You know, we fight for the Pro-Am championship, but Luis is in a good shape, and yeah, we will see what happens.
And obviously the conditions now are quite different from when you qualified.
Yeah, but we had a good session last night, and we have a good reference, so we're really looking forward to do the best.
Have a good race. Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
A Ferrari, of course, that runs through the AF Corsa banner within the Pro-Am Cup. We've got the overall contest, of course. We've got silver as well as Pro-Am, and they're within the Pro-Am standings is the Mercedes that, as you see him standing next to the car, Phil Keane shares with Lee Mole, the ERC Sport Mercedes AMG GT3, and that is the car that is going to be at the back of the grid. One rank ahead is the SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes. Valentin Pierburg will start. The very rapid Dominic Baumann will take over that car for the second stint.
In fairness, being in the very final row of the grid here at Magny Cours is not necessarily a bad thing, because inevitably as the cars take for the first lap into this double left-hander Grand Cours, there's again cars bunching the midfield, getting together. Don't be surprised if we see a car spear off at high speed off to the right through. There's a massive gravel trap out to the right. It's as big as Brighton Beach. And cars will be going into it, they'll be coming through it, they'll be coming back onto the racetrack. So being at the very tail of the field, you can sit back and become uninvolved, watch what's happening, thread your way through, and maybe make up a few places.
Just seen the Jonathan Hui Tempesta Racing Ferrari, and they're just having qualified it, the Belgian Audi Club Team WRT entry of the Ovega brothers. Yusuf will go first. Hamza Ovega will take over. Jonathan Hui starts in the Tempesta Racing Ferrari. Louis Machiels, as you will have gathered from the fact Andrea Bertolini wasn't in the car, Louis Machiels starts the red Ferrari there, you can see just behind. 93, Chris Froggatt will go first in the other Tempesta Racing entry. And Hugo Chevalier is going to start 108. That's the spare Bentley, if you like. The team allowed to use a spare car because the conflagration happened in paid tests, which weren't part of the meeting itself. So the stewards allowed the team to use a different car. Go one row forward, and you will find the Top Sport WRT Mercedes. And the 108 Bentley arrived with the team at 4 o'clock this morning. So it's been a real harem-scarum job to get it onto the grid. Well done, CMR. It would have been very tempting to just say, car's burnt out, we're not racing. But went to Silverstone, got it back, and it was here at 4 a.m., then made into a race car. That's some effort.
I can't imagine the fines they would have had to pay at all the toll booths on the autoroute in France, because I don't know how they managed to get up to Silverstone, pick up the car, get it back here in time. I mean, a phenomenal effort by the team. Deserves every bit of credit.
Absolutely right. Looking elsewhere on the grid, the Top Sport WRT Mercedes, Mick Vishofer, new to the championship, he will go first. Top Sport WRT, nothing to do with Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. In Top Sport's case, the WRT stands for World Rally Team. Their number 66, it is Nicolas Scherl, sharing with Fred Verviche. Nicolas Scherl graduating to GT3 this year. Quick young driver, one to watch, I think, Nicolas Scherl, for Attempto Racing. Behind them, you have Timur Bogoslavsky starting then 16th on the grid in the ACA ASP Mercedes. There is Oscar Tunjo starting in number 2, Top Sport WRT Mercedes. The very quick Yusup Oaxaca to take over that car, graduate of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia scene. In a Lexus to start, it is going to be Aurelien Panis in the Tech 1 Racing run car, sharing with the very rapid Thomas Neubauer. So if that can keep out of mechanical strife, it's going to be one to watch. There, number 107 Bentley, Nelson Panciutici and Jules Gounon. Two quick drivers in 32, double winners. The championship leader, Charles Witt, starts. Dries Van Toor shares ahead of them, Tommaso Mosca. And there, a pole position car. Luca Stoltz starts. Mario Engel to take over. They are third in the championship. But, John, there you have got a very good, experienced and very evenly matched partnership. Potentially the shoe-ins for a win.
That's my view, and I think I expressed that view when we went into qualifying today. Looking at the entry, those two drivers in that number 4 Mercedes-Benz, they got pole position, and they got it by a reasonable margin of a couple of thousandths of a second. The key is they're on pole position. They will have the best run when the lights go out into turn 1. And if they can get clear of the Emile Frey Racing Lamborghini, then they can pretty much control how the race will flow, particularly down into Adelaide on that first lap. Just have to be aware of somebody making almost like a crazy dive down the inside, which is always the concern on the opening lap going into Adelaide Heaven.
So now,
look at the side. Look at the sheen on the circuit. I've never seen a circuit sheen. You'd swear that was a wet racetrack.
Absolutely. Car set off on the formation lap, rolling start of course, and now you get an idea, as do the drivers, of where there might be some visibility. And of course picking out headlights is not going to be easy, never mind for us, but of course for our camera crew, who have been out trackside since about 8 o'clock this morning. They have filmed everything that has moved all day long here. It's been a marathon day for everybody involved in SRO TV. There's another day of it to come tomorrow, but this it really is the longest day. It's all good practice for the Spa 24 hours, I guess, but the camera guys have worked sterling stuff out there, and there's only another hour to go, chaps. Now, that's the Adelaide hairpin. Let's recap the grid. Lukas Stolz starts on pole position. Mikael Grenier will be alongside. That's Mercedes and Lamborghini on row 1. Second row, Audi, Stephen Pellet for Santilok and Tommaso Mosca for Attempto Racing. Third row, Mercedes and Audi, Ezequiel Perez Compact for Mad Panda Motorsport. Charles Weir, the championship leader for Belgian Audi Club WRT, ahead of Lexus and Bentley. Aurelien Panis lines up alongside Nelson Panciatici. 9th, Arthur Rougier, Audi. 10th, Jim Pla, Mercedes. 2 quick young French drivers looking for good results on home soil. Giacomo Altuve's Lamborghini starts 11th. Oscar Tuncio will go from 12th, the Top Sport WRT. 13th is Ryuichi Tomita for the WRT Audi squad. Nicolas Schurl's Audi alongside, ahead of Nick Vishofer's Mercedes, and Timo Boguslavski, one to watch, starting a long way back on the grid, ahead of Chris Froggatt's Ferrari and Hugo Chevalier's spare Bentley. 19th on the grid, Josef Ovega, and 20th is the Ferrari of Jonathan Hui. And then 21st, Louis Machiel starting for AF Corsa, Valentin Pioberg for SPS Automotive Performance, and the last car is the ERC Sport entry of the Brits, Lee Mole and Phil Keane. This brings the cars out of Chateau d'Eau. They'll get themselves now into that 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, ready for the start of 1 hour of racing then, the GT World Challenge. Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup. 3 races in the sunshine at Misano, 2 at Magny Cours, and it could not be more different now, with the nights having surrounded the circuit, everybody shrouded in the darkness, bits of the circuit with better illumination, but the drivers in the main are going to have to rely on their wits and their headlights. And of course the second stint drivers will have an even darker circuit. Ezequiel Perez Compact give way to Axel Jeffries, the Zimbabwean driver, for the second stint. But we are set to go racing. Nelson Panciatici unlucky at Misano in that last race to get drilled and off the road. Pace cars it is, peels into the pit lane, and also in there, look, goes Stephen Pellet, who was third on the grid. What was all that about? Let's find out as we are set to go racing. Stephen Pellet dives to the pit lane, the lights go green, we go racing at Magny Cours. Headlights descend upon us into turn 1, and it's a good start then by Lukas Stolz. He leads. Now, do they all get through safely? Arthur Rougier up on the inside line. It is indeed Stolz in the Mercedes who's got the best of it, and so far, John, so good.
Very well behaved by everybody. I don't know what happened to Stephen Pellet. That was the lead silver car, second row of the grid. What a disappointment for that team. So here the cars stream through the long right-hander at Estoril, now onto the long, there is Pellet. I don't know why. Very strange, he's back on the racetrack.
It's almost like he was tricked into going down the pit lane by the safety car. We've got drama at the hairpin. Mayhem has broken out after Rougier just avoids it. The Lexus is facing the wrong way. And that's Giacomo Altuve's Lamborghini that is off the road, and that's got damage. Well, it's way off the road. Rougier in the meantime, Panis in the meantime is trying to find exactly where the track goes. Through the Nürburgring chicane, they flick for the first time. That was always going to be a pinch point off the road as well. Goes another of the Mercedes. Mayhem has broken out, and Pellet had a puncture, we understand. Stephen Pellet had run over debris from the earlier Alpine race and a punctured tyre.
I'm not surprised there's a lot of debris down again at Adelaide as a result of a major congregation between some of the Alpine drivers, and he's picked up no doubt a bit of carbon fibre shards. But Adelaide hairpin yet again, proving that it is always the pinch point of the opening lap in particular of any race.
So down they come to the end of lap 1. Lukas Stolz trying to get away. Mikael Grenier runs in second place. So it's Mercedes from Lamborghini as the cars now flick through the chicane, right and then left, up toward the end of lap 1. Temperature still high here. Fans in their shirt sleeves as the drivers hard at work then. Bounce in midfield out of the chicane over the timing line. Stolz leads Grenier. Third is Compact. Fourth is Mosca. Fifth is Wirtz. Sixth is Panciatici. But Stephen Pellet's going to be one to watch now to see what he can salvage out of this race. There goes Timo Boguslavski. He's been a race winner in Sprint Cup, and he's up to 10th already. And there, out of the race, number 6, Mick Vishofer, Robin Rogalski with damage.
Yeah, I think that was the Mercedes we saw coming into the Nürburgring chicane just before the 180 degree. It shot off to the left. and we think that was the car. So there it is sitting now, probably not quite as far down as where the 180 that happened in the inside of this racetrack.
Giacomo Altway we have lost, and the Lexus is still going. Stephen Paulette down in 21st then. So 2 cars off on the opening lap of the race. We're still green though, and Stoltz led at the end of the opening tour by 0.7 of a second as they flick there through the chicane. And you get the feeling that more and more of that curve is going to be used as the darkness descends upon them yet further.
You can see also the racing line. The track is clear, but anything off the racing line, there's a lot of gravel, so drivers have to be again wary of not letting those cars stray slightly offline. That will then lead to further trouble as well. In the meantime, Stephen Paulette has been recovering, fastest overall in Sector 1 on his first blank lap.
Replay at the start. Good getaway by Luca Stoltz. Moves across, covers the line, fends off Mikael Grenier as they go through turn 1. And the cars then accelerate down towards Estoril for the first time. And then Stephen Paulette bails for the pit lane to get that puncture sorted.
Yeah, that right rear looked like it was well and truly down. So the field gets underway. Good start, clean start by Luca Stoltz. Did what he was required to do and got the advantage over the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghini into Grand Cours, but cleanly out of Estoril, cleanly, and managed to avoid all the traffic coming down behind. So that pinch point once again at Adelaide.
So it all kicked off at the hairpin, as rather feared. This was Stephen Paulette's view. He knows he's got that puncture, he can feel it, and he'll have told the team, so he dives in, follows the safety car down the pit lane, and the team ready to go to work as swiftly as possible. So he joins in from the pit lane, but he's in the race. Now, it is, of course, Luca Stoltz leading the way. And this, in replay, shows the drama. It was the Mercedes twice, in fact, getting into the back of Altway. So Giacomo Altway got turned around, and the Audi of Mick Vishofer hit him once to dislodge him, hit him again as he spun. So those 2 cars out of the race as well. Now Stoltz, 2 laps in the book, leading by 0.8 of a second from Mikael Grenier. And Stoltz, the pioneer, he's got to assess exactly where the braking points are in the darkness here.
Well, they had that practice last night, so they've got an idea of where the reference points are, even though they're not very clearly visible during nighttime driving. Good run right now by Ezequiel Perez Compact in Mad Panda Racing's Mercedes. This is one of the better showings so far this season for this team and for Ezequiel Perez Compact.
His team, and you can see that he runs at the moment. Then in 3rd place, trying to keep at bay Tommaso Mosca for Attempto Racing in the Audi. This is the Lycée Complex, turn right, then you flick into the chicane, ride the curve. And again, as your reference points disappear into the darkness, more and more of the curve being taken. You see the sparks fly. Leaders across the line then, and the gap is now 0.8 of a second. Stoltz, little by little, is getting away from Grenier. Compact 3rd, but then he's got Mosca and Charles Weir queued up behind him. So 3rd, 4th, 5th is now the battle pack.
Very much so. And again, look at the gravel on the outside of it. The headlights highlight just how much gravel has been chucked on the racetrack. Not from these cars, but from other events that are supporting this event.
Yeah, the previous race on track was the Alpine Cup, and it was a particularly fractious race. So there's been quite a bit of clearing up to be done during it under the safety car, and subsequently Nelson Panciatici goes through 6th in the CMR Bentley, number 107, outpacing the sister car for now. You're on board with Panciatici.
So this is through the right and left at Nürburgring, the chicane, and you can see that Panciatici doesn't really follow the line. He straight lines it, but that's within acceptable use of track. Now down to the 180, the tight hairpin in the infield, then accelerates back up a gradual incline, gentle curves right, left. Now you come to the Imola chicane, where the cars, you've got this compression, and here's the compression, then quickly back to the left. The car runs right out to the edge of the track, hard on the brakes for Chateau d'Eau. The highest corner around the racetrack, back into the Bentley, snaps over steer. Then the drop down the hill for this final entry into what is the chicane that leads on to start and finish straight. Possible overtaking if you're alongside, but you've got to be absolutely squarely alongside. Now, don't be too aggressive with these curves, because it doesn't enhance your exit speed, but it certainly puts a shock load into the car.
So Panciatici through, still running 6th. It was Charles Weir, you could see ahead of him. There 3rd is Ezequiel Perez Compact, and he goes wide and he kicks up the dust and it puts him on the wrong line, but Tommaso Mosca follows him. Charles Weir Is he on the attack? Is he waiting really for Dries Van Toor to do the hard yards in the second stint? We've not yet had 10 minutes, but the top two getting away. Lukas Stolz doing a great job up front, and of course he's one of the drivers very used to nighttime racing with his experience of 24-hour events.
Very much so. But in fairness, Michael Grenier in the Lamborghini is keeping him honest, because the gap is literally a second and a hundredth of a second. Again, Cours just running wide, unnecessarily so.
Yeah.
That's careless driving. You don't need... You've got stacks of racetrack. You don't need to run the curbs. A contact with one of the Bentleys going through the Nürburgring chicane.
The first one was Rougier on Jim Pla, and Jim Pla has been forced out wide again, I think by Nicolas Schurl. So he's been well and truly roughed up as Jim Pla drops 2 places. Panciatici here still hunting down the pack ahead. Charles Weerts in the Audi is the first car that he's aiming for, but he's not yet quite got close enough, has he, as they go now into the Imola chicane.
And this actually is much tighter in reality than it appears when you get the wide angle look down at the hairpin. So compact under, and the 2 Audis now side by side. So the pace that Perez Compact is running at is slower than those behind. Those 2 Audis, door handle to door handle, that's going to end up in tears.
Weerts goes through. Charles Weerts gains a place away from Tommaso Mosca. Look at the queue that suddenly formed up behind. Ezequiel Perez Compact might be going better than ever thus far, but he's the cork in the bottle, and Weerts wants to get on with the job. He's got the inside line, look, going down towards the Grand Cours. Side by side they run. Charles Weerts goes through up into 3rd place. Does Mosca go by? Yes, he does. And Perez Compact is out on the beach, runs way wide. And now look, he's well off his stride. Boguslavski gets involved in all of that as well, and Timo Boguslavski forced way wide also.
Forced wide, but forced onto the gravel on the outside of Estoril. I mean, that was good driving from the 2 Audis, forcing Perez Compact and the Mercedes wide in the Grand Curve, and the consequence was he made a mistake, and we're on board with him again. Look how much he's fallen behind.
Absolutely, you could see the number trading, couldn't you, as he went through the sector point.
Fallen back 5 places.
Right, here's the replay. What happened to him? Let's see.
So, just got all wrong in Grand Curve. I mean, going onto that gravel is a no-no under any circumstances, let alone at night time. And remember, to the left of Perez Compact, you've got Timo Boguslavski in the 88, who was being forced further and further to the left, but he wanted to be right on the racing line in Estoril.
Right, so Panciatici has gained out of that, as well as Weerts and Mosca. So too has Arthur Rougier. So here's the queue of cars, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, still as one. We're heading up towards the end of the first 10 minutes. He's got a lively race thus far. On board with Panciatici losing a place. Arthur Rougier dive bombs him and he goes through.
Good overtake, a good place to pass. Not easy to do so, but Rougier got the opportunity. Now Panciatici tries to come back in the Bentley, but he's on the wrong part of the real estate. And now he's got behind him, he's got Nicolas Schurl and his out. He's trying to push pressure onto the back of the Bentley.
Yeah, Nicolas Schurl going well in the second Attempto car. Over the line also Jim Pla in 89. So Panciatici goes through race order. Stolz Mercedes, Grenier Lamborghini, Weerts and Mosca Audi, then Rougier 5th Audi. Panciatici here, you're on board with him 6th for Bentley. 7th, Nicolas Schurl, Audi. 8th, Jim Pla, Mercedes. 9th, Oscar Tunjo, Mercedes. 10th, Timo Boguslavski, Mercedes. So where out of all of this has Compact dropped to? 20th is the answer.
Well, I don't know whether he picked up something or not, but for sure, once those 2 Audis got through, Charles Weerts and Tommaso Mosca, I think he was just completely...
He's in the pits.
In the pits. I wondered why he dropped back that far.
Yeah.
He may have picked up something. Clearly, he wouldn't have been a very happy boy, because he got roughed up, but he opened the door, allowed it to happen.
On top speeds by AWS on the race vision graphic then. Panciatici able to get 256 kilometres an hour top speed out of the Bentley. The race leader, Lukas Stolz, only 5th in that table, a mere 253.4.
And he's got the Lamborghini directly behind him. Now up to 1.5 seconds the advantage, but 2 laps ago the Lamborghini was within a second of the leading Mercedes-Benz.
Doing good lap times at the moment, Ryuichiro Tomita, because he's done a personal and an absolute best. Number 31 Audi in 13th place, playing catch-up, and there is the frustrated Compact in the pits. Got puncture written all over it, that hasn't it?
Certainly there was most likely a puncture again, maybe because of the use of racetrack, which he shouldn't have been on, which is going through Grand Cours, or maybe picked up something further around the circuit, but certainly got roughed up big time, fell back immediately, and then was straight into the pits, something that was gone wrong.
And what can Nelson Panciatici do about Arthur Rougier? He lost the place once. Great little battle going on here, look, as they all dive down through the SRO right-hander. Compact trying to get out of the way after his pit stop. 66 goes through. That's Nicolas Schurl ahead of Jim Pla, ahead of Oscar Tunjo. This fight then is 7th, 8th and 9th.
You'd think it was daylight the way they're racing. I mean, the headlights in these cars are amazing anyway, and they've got a fantastic field of vision. Nevertheless, some drivers adapt to nighttime racing comfortably and well. Others are never going to be comfortable in any condition other than broad daylight.
Well, right now, Lukas Stolz is comfortable up front by 2.3 seconds, but there, Nicolas Schurl is under attack as the cars flick their way through the chicane. Lukas Stolz out front, building the gap as best he can. Mauro Engel to take over the race-leading Mercedes. Again, look at the gravel off the road, goes Louis Macchiels in the AF Corsa Ferrari. So again, experienced drivers being caught out.
Well, you make a commitment going into the Nürburgring chicane. You have to take the curb on the inside if you're carrying any speed. That wasn't the case. Look at that. Timo Boguslavski under pressure, and the Bentley comes up, tries to go the long way around. There's going to be a long way around. If he can make it stick, maybe he'll try and make the undercut coming down the hill. But he's got the Audi up alongside, so not a lot of room for scope and manoeuvre. Smoke, blue smoke coming from the back of that Mercedes.
And a challenge also against Bentley 108. So Tomita in the Audi looking for a way by, but Boguslavski with a problem. Gemma from the pits tells me that it was a wheel that had parted company with Compact's Mercedes. No contact, but a wheel had come off. Right, looking back then from Boguslavski. This is the troubled Mercedes, we rather fear. 10th he is, not now making progress, and he's got Chevalier crawling all over the back of him.
Yeah, certainly coming down into that final chicane. It looked to me as if there was a wisp of blue smoke coming from the back of the car. Whether, there it is again. Now, whether that's a tyre, it looks like the left front tyre either has come into contact with the bodywork or is slowly deflating. Whatever it is, that's going to be a pit stop for Boguslavski from what I can see right now.
I would fear that it's going to go pop any moment, the heavier he brakes. So Boguslavski with smoke pouring off that left front corner, coming under attack. Whoops, almost drama there. Look, as Louis Macchiels oh so nearly gets into the back of Jim Pla. So we've got gravel on the road, cars with punctures, cars with dramas, cars with damage. Lukas Stolz way out front, clear of all of the grief that's going on around him as people bounce on and off the circuit. That chicane now, you just straight line it with the curb, don't you? 89, Jim Pla down in 14th place. He's been mugged over the last few laps, but right now, just surviving your stint seems to be crucial.
Well, settling in, there you can see Boguslavski's Mercedes. Now the smoke appears to have stopped pouring from that left front, but there are tyres being prepared in case it is a quick in and out before the pit stop window opens. Another 10 minutes to go before the mandatory pit stop window opens with 35 minutes to go.
Right, so out of the chicane they bounce. Where is Boguslavski? He's behind this little group, so will the Mercedes be in? Let's see. This is the view on board. The cars dive down towards the completion of the lap. Chris Froggatt coming up then through the chicane, the Sky Tempesta Racing entry. And you can see the battle going on ahead because you've got Louis Macchiels there with the recovering Stephen Palette crawling all over the back of him. Palette up into 16th place in the Audi, throws gravel into Froggatt's face, gets that round the outside. Macchiels is off the road and he spins, and is he going to take the Audi with him? Yes, he is. Off goes Macchiels. Palette had nowhere to go. He got into the side of him, but can he recover?
Well, we're going to have a full course yellow. I can guarantee you that now. Where that car is, it needs to be recovered and taken away to safety. It's unlikely the Ferrari will be able to drive out of the gravel. This is a big gravel patch on the outside of the corner as well as the one on the inside. And I mean, 3 into 2 going into Estoril is a never ever a formula that will be beneficial. The Lexus likewise is in for a problem with the left front.
So again, you run over the gravel or shards of debris, and there's something not sitting properly. So you've got bodywork missing as well.
Well, it got rotated and Adelaide happened on the opening lap anyway, so it may be a consequence of that. In the meantime, gap now is up to 4.2 seconds between first and second.
You see Lukas Stolz proving the importance of being out in front. So the HRT Haupt racing team Mercedes comes up, crosses the line, sparks flies, he rattles over the curb. We've got yellows in sector 1 and he's bearing down on them. And here's the replay. Macchiels goes wide, John.
Catches the gravel on the outside of the corner. Around he goes, or doesn't even go around, it's only after the contact, and in the process takes the Audi with him. So can he get that thing out of there or not? Certainly the gravel.
There it is again. So Ferrari stuck, Audi did rejoin.
Yeah, Macchiels got on the gravel on the outside of double curb and then of course came back on the Audi coming together. There is the Ferrari still waiting to be removed.
So we might end up with, as you say, a full course yellow to get that out of harm's way. Right now, that's bad news for the Lexus.
Look at the damage to the Lexus.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It looks like there's a bit missing. As you could see them working on the wheel. Right, we've gone to a yellow within sectors and now full course yellow.
And the two Audis side by side, trying to work out which was Charles Verts or Tommaso Mosca, who would be in third place. It is Charles Verts on timing and scoring as they came across the start-finish line. To complete 11 laps.
Right, so right now there's a debate as to who's got the place. It should be Mosca. He was ahead at the end of the previous lap, but until race control adjudicate, they're going to run side by side, ready for a rolling start. Full course yellow, of course. All this eats into the hour, and it gets you closer to the pit window as well. But right now, the Silver Cup being led by Oscar Tunjo from Josefa Vega and Hugo Chevalier. Yellow flags, if you can see them, fly around the circuit. They're with the yellow lights on, of course, as well. And Lukas Stolz leads outright from Mikael Grenier. Charles Wirtz third, Tommaso Mosca fourth, Arthur Rougier fifth, Nelson Panciatici is in sixth place. Full course yellow to get Louis Machiel's Ferrari out of its new resting place in the gravel at turn 2.
And of course, this was no doubt a frustration for Lukas Stolz, who did all the good work in the opening laps, built up about a 5-second advantage. There we see Oscar Tunjo, the Silver Cup Mercedes driver. So Oscar Tunjo in current 8th place, directly behind Nicholas Scholl in the Attempto Audi. So all these cars will back up. I suspect Relikwa is going to have a safety car to bring the field. There we now see Louis Machiel's Ferrari being dragged. I mean, it's a bit unceremonious to see a €500,000 Ferrari being dragged by a removal vehicle, something you expect to see in the field, plowing, reaping the corn or hay or whatever.
John has now bailed out of the next agricultural reference.
Well, the baling is something you do after you mow it, isn't it?
We all know that.
We got the baling.
Yes.
We got the baling right. Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, the Ferrari, its race is finished.
Yep.
And maybe Louis Machiels was in a group of cars that their level of experience. He allowed himself to get suckered, getting too far wide in La Grande Courbe. Got on the gravel, the car then began that process of rotating. When it came back on the racetrack, contact was inevitable. I'm surprised, in truth, we haven't seen that type of contact even before this particular moment that's led to a safety car, or well, it is a safety car now.
It is now, yeah. Louis Machiel is an experienced driver, to be fair to him, so it is a surprise that it was him that was involved. According to Gemma in the pit, something went bang for the Lexus. I don't know what it is yet, but it's
that's not good news.
Doesn't sound good, does it? Lots of potential in that car, just hasn't yet delivered. Right, Louis Machiel's out of the gravel, Scarpas to try and get back in the race. Look at all the bits of assorted cars, not just out of this race, littering the outside of the Adelaide hairpin. Safety car means they'll all bunch up, of course, so Lukas Stolz's gap will completely disappear.
But remember, the pit lane will open in another just over 4 minutes. You can see the Ferrari, it came back on track, tagged the Audi, and then they get together for a second time as the Ferrari slides sideways. Comes to a halt. Gravel did its job and slowed the Ferrari down and got it to a standstill and avoided contact with the barriers. But there's the Ferrari coming back on again. Starts the rotation. Nowhere for the Audi to go. And you're sitting there, it's just a sitting duck.
Awful feeling, I should imagine. Poor old Stephen Palat just can't catch a break, can he? Puncture on the green flag lap, gets himself up the order, gets involved in somebody else's incident. So, damaged car, delayed once more. Right, how many laps before we can go racing once again? Because although they've now bunched up behind the safety car, we can't be too far off releasing them. And of course, this is going to be a mad scramble. Yep, in at the end of this lap. So we're going to get about 2 racing laps in before the pit window opens. Lukas Stolz is the man in charge in the Mercedes. They can't start overtaking until they get to the timing line. But look at the concertina effect. Charles Wirtz in the Audi on his toes. Here we go, out of the chicane, racing again. Green flags fly. Lukas Stolz on the loud pedal, tries now to break away. Second is Mikael Grenier. Third, as they dive into turn 1, is Charles Wirtz. And again now with everybody bunched up, especially in a night race like this, safety cars can breed safety cars.
Everybody's managed to get through Grand Curve without running wide, either on the inside or the outside. Back through Estoril, now onto this long back straight leads down to the Adelaide hairpin. Hopefully this bunched group of cars, particularly those running about 6th, 8th, 10th position, that's the area where you need to be careful, because You're braking at the front, but you're still on the throttle at the back. Now there's that group of cars. They've all managed to get through cleanly. Shame that didn't happen in lap 1.
Gravel in the road as well, they've got to dodge round, so Stolz leads Grenier and the gap starts to extend once again. But Charles Weerts in third place, keeping the Audi in the mix, ready to hand it over to Dries Van Thor, so don't rule out the championship leaders yet. We've still got 37 minutes of the race to go as number 2 Mercedes, Oscar Tunjo, gets onto the tail of Nicolas Schurl, both of them graduates of GT4 racing. But Stolz leads the way. Pole position driver then, and he's coming up towards the completion of this opening lap after the restart. Nelson Panciatici still in the mix as well to give that car to Jules Gounon. There's a lot to expect in part 2, isn't there?
Certainly is, and I'm just thinking about Nelson Panciatici. He must be wondering, what have I got myself involved in? Because this is rough and tumble GT3 racing, particularly at night time. Different world altogether. I know it's preparation for Spa 24, but it's not quite the same. This is not Spa 24, this is Magny Cours 1 hour, and it's a flat-out blast from lights out to checkered flag.
And it's dry as well, whereas Spa always has the odd spot of rain. Right, the teams are ready. WRT engineers, drivers getting ready for the pit stop. In many cases, not all, but in many cases, you've got the quicker driver doing the second stint in this race. There's not much to choose between Stolz and Mario Engel, for example, but in other cases, the quicker driver yet to come. So these drivers in the main will be in as soon as they can when the window opens.
I think the one exception probably is the difference between Lucas Stolz leading currently in his HTP Mercedes and Mario Engel, his co-driver. They're very evenly matched. Absolutely. They are probably the strongest driver pairing right now in this event. 36 minutes remaining.
So they can probably split it to the halfway mark, but at the end of this lap, potentially, we're going to have the pit window open. Battle's on for third, isn't it? Weerts, Tommaso, Panciatici next up. More drama going through the Nürburgring chicane, but they all survive it. But right now, look, Charles Weerts, he's having to go defensive because Tommaso Mosca, graduate of Carrera Capitalia, looking really promising here, stepping up to GT3 racing at this level for the first time. He's crawling all over the back of the double winner from Misano.
And Charles Weerts will probably be thinking, when am I coming in at the earliest opportunity? But look, up into Chateau d'Eau, gets the undercut, almost doesn't quite have the drive off to have a go at Weerts.
But Rougier has got back up ahead of Panciatici for 5th place. Arthur Rougier goes through, and also Nicolas Schurl looking for a way by as well. Pit window is not yet open. The leaders are going to have to do one more lap. Look in the background, you've got them still side by side. Great battle. Schurl trying to find room. Works.
Oh,
Panciatici gets tagged and he gets turned around.
Yeah, well, that was over. There's the Bentley at the chicane, and now there are 2 cars directly involved in just the Bentley. Certainly, I think there are 2 cars.
Well, he gets going again, but Nelson Panciatici turned into that. We're going to replay, no doubt, and try and piece it all together, because there was Nicolas Schurl looking for a way to get past him and through that chicane. There just wasn't the room. Pit window is now open.
This is real rough and tumble. Here we can see what's happening. The Bentley's about to get tagged coming into this final right-left chicane. Hits the curb. Did he hit the curb or was he hit from behind? I think it was hit from behind. Yeah. And consequently, he just sits there waiting for the rest of the field to come by, and will continue pretty much tail of the field. There it is.
Got harpooned, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Way up the curb. Don't often
see an impact at this part of the racetrack, but in this instance, well, there it is. Panciatici is the victim, and I said a lap or 2 earlier, the rough and tumble of GT3 racing at night time on a circuit like Magny Cours, steep learning curve.
I mean, they're out again at 7:30 in the morning for qualifying. It's going to be a very long night in sense of work, very short night in terms of sleep for the mechanics for some of the teams. Timetable not kind to those that have got problems in this race, and we've still got over half the race to go. Pit window is open, as you see. 34 minutes are on the clock, and keeping out of trouble has been key to a good first stint. Now you can expect this whole influx of drivers diving for the pit lane. They've all been bunched up under the safety car, and now look, this is the fight for third place. Charles Weerts versus Tommaso Mosca. Does Weerts come in? Let's see. Does he go straight on? Yep, he's in. Mosca stays out. Rougier comes in, and also up the road, Grenier is in, and Stolz has stayed out. So there's a split. Not everybody coming in, because really you don't want to be in a too crowded pit lane. If you've got a team running multiple cars, keep some out a bit longer.
Very much the case. So no reason for Lucas Stolz to come in. He's just driving away from the rest of the field. He had a 4.3 second advantage initially. That, of course, was exaggerated by the pace at which Grenier would have been coming into the pit lane. So advantage Stolz, advantage HRT, advantage Mercedes.
Great pit stop, and these are, for the overall teams, natural pit stops, as quick as you can. Pro-Ams have to do them to a minimum of 53 seconds. Vanthoor gets away, but he shouldn't have done because there was a car coming down the pit lane, so he had to stop, and he will have lost places as a result of that.
Yeah, he was almost given the go sign. Then the engineer said, no, stop. So that lost momentum for Dries Vanthoor. He'll make it up again, make no mistake. But it's just, you're all set to go, and you're then delayed.
So the order will shuffle over the next few laps. Norbert Siedler has taken over the second-placed Lamborghini. There, good to go, number 20, Mercedes, which is now in the hands of Dominic Baumann. That's going to be quick.
Yes,
Dominic Baumann is very rapid.
Baumann is back behind the wheel of that 20 Mercedes. Expect to see, that's a Pro-Am entry, by the way.
Yeah.
So expect to see that car make progress. Assuming that we don't have another full course yellow or a safety car intervention, anything is possible as we go back to the leader,
who's done an absolute best in the middle sector on not his in lap, because he's going to stay out and finish it, try and build the gap yet more. Ready for Maro Engel. So through goes Stoltz. Now who is going to be up into second place? It is now Tommaso Mosca, who stays out for one more lap. Oscar Tunjo goes up into third place. More pit stops to be cycled through. Interesting to see as well what the Boguslavski Marcello Mercedes looks like after it's stopped there. Ready for Kelvin van der Linde to take over. It's the 31, and off the road has gone again by the look of it. Louis Machiel just getting out of the gravel once more. So Raichiro Tomita comes in. Kelvin van der Linde will take over at WRT.
Again, Kelvin van der Linde, winner, of course, in Imola. In this car, along with Mirko Bortolotti, and get the third driver. So this car
of cars, because it's the real queue for third and back, isn't it? Sorry, second and back at the moment. Siedler from Vanthoor, Haase, Vervisch, van der Linde. Marciello will be the next one to join if he can, because right now he's got to make up another 6 seconds. 22 minutes are on the clock, and Maro Engel, having taken over from Lukas Stoltz, you've got to say at the moment, has a very easy time of it out front.
Look, somebody's got to win this race. Everybody behind's been squabbling like a load of ferrets in a sack. But the 4 Mercedes, Lukas Stoltz drove away. Maro Engel likewise pulling away from Norbert Siedler, who's got, 6 Audis all stacked up, one form or another. Well, you've got Raffaele Marciello in the mix, and also the TalkSport number 2 Mercedes catching up to this long train of cars.
Leading silver currently there is Hamza Ovega for WRT, and leading Pro-Am, Giancarlo Fisichella and Jonathan Hui in the Tempesta Racing Ferrari. 21.5 minutes still to go in race 1 of 2 here at Magny Cours. So down towards the completion of lap number 22 comes there. 33, that's the Audi running, as I say, the silver leader, Hamza Ovega, up towards the timing line. But the race leader, Maro Engel, now 9 seconds to the good as the cars further down the order come through that chicane, ride the curb. Giancarlo Fisichella leading the Pro-Am contest, well clear of the sister car of Eddie Cheever. So it's a Tempesta Racing 1-2 right now.
And I mean, there's no big surprise. Giancarlo Fisichella, his credentials are top drawer. Eddie Cheever, the third, great little driver, but maybe not have the wisdom and experience. As we look at the 89 Mercedes, pretty much on its own, nobody behind and nobody ready to follow, is out of contact with the rest. That's the Silver Cup car of Benjamin Heats.
There is another report from the pits that suggests there may have been contact against Jules Gounod's Bentley, which is why he was way out wide. So somebody looking for a way by, possible contact, one of the Audis that's being looked at, and the net result was that Jules got fired off.
And certainly there was something beyond Jules Gounod's control. The car just speared off to the right, and Jules Gounod was sitting there as a passenger. Wow, talk about track access. I mean, let's take that chicane out, make it a straight line.
If you download the data, you'll find a very different lap for some cars at the end of certain tours of Magny Cours. Right, 20 minutes to go then, so the pit window is now closed. It's these drivers, of course, into the very end. Any pit stops from here on in are going to be unscheduled stops, and there might be some yet, the way that the frantic race is panning out. Christopher Haase has dropped back, hasn't he, from Vanthoor, because he's under real attack from Fred Vervisch. So the Audi factory drivers jousting amongst themselves now as they go through to start lap number 24.
I mean, we're really looking at a Formula Audi race here. The fact that a Lamborghini is leading this chain of
drive-through penalty to car 52 for speeding in the pit lane.
So So 52 is Andrea Bertolini. They've been in the gravel, they've lost a couple of laps, now speeding in the pit lane.
Well, Andrea's the one who's got to pay the penalty. Yeah. He may not have been the person, it could have been Louis Mekiel's, because by the time the penalty's announced, it could have been prior to the driver changeover or at the point just before the changeover took place.
And the voice you heard was that of Alain Adon, the race director. So the data comes from the Swiss timing team, timekeeping service, and there's no real argument with it. So you know what the speed was, you know what the pit stop time was, and the speed gun can be there as well as a backup, but the penalty is a drive-through. So Maro Engel is the race leader by 9 seconds from Norbert Seidler. Seidler to Van Thor is 4/10 of a second. But then fourth, Christopher Hauser dropping away a little bit when he tries to fend off there, Fred Verviche. So you've got WRT, then Santalot, then Attempto. Different teams running the Audis, but they're all so evenly matched.
I think it's great that 3 different teams, 3 different personalities running those teams, kind of all there, 3 different brands running, or 3 different teams running so closely. But what I find interesting is in fact that Dries Van Thor, who would have been all over Norbert Seidler like a rash under normal circumstances, has also dropped back, about 10th or so of a second. He's got nothing, he's got no answer to the pace of the Lamborghini.
No, he's tried to unsettle him, didn't work. Number 20, Dominic Baumann here, coming up to have a go at Eddie Cheever. This is for second in Pro-Am, so it's a battle well worth concentrating on this, because the Mercedes looks like it's got better pace, doesn't it? Baumann, very, very experienced racer in terms of not just Mercedes, but also racing at night. Eddie Cheever's done a few 24-hour races at a lower level, the Proventic Series, but he's under attack right now. Baumann crawling all over the back of him, and this is for second, as I say, within Pro-Am. Is this where Baumann makes the move?
Well, certainly you can see he was much quicker through the chicane, but of course a difficult place to try and pass going into Le Grand Curb, so he backs out of it, lets Cheever take his racing line. Smart thing to do. Now, here's where Baumann has got the opportunity to pick up again the pace between the gap between the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Ferrari is fast in a straight line, which is a frustration for anybody who's trying to overtake, much the same as we've seen with the Lamborghini and those charging Audis behind.
Got that aero-friendly shape, hasn't it? Speed building all the while here then as they come towards the Adelaide hairpin. So Dominic Baumann has caught. Now where does he find a way past? Applies pressure to Eddie Cheever. It's for second in class, but this is a fight for 15th place overall.
So there's really at this part of the racetrack overtaking, and Eddie Cheever, the third, cuts right inside the exit of the Nürburgring chicane. Not the first time we've seen it this evening, but again it helps him on the exit. It helps him just keep that gap between himself, Dominic Baumann, and the charging Mercedes behind, now up the hill into the Imola chicane. Again, opportunities for Baumann if he can get himself sufficiently close to the back of the Ferrari when you break for Chateau d'Eau. And he's close, but not sufficiently close. Not much more he can do on the run down the hill into Lycée, which is the penultimate corner before the pit stop, the chicane onto pit start finish line.
So again, the Mercedes great on the brake, suddenly comes hammering into the tail of the Ferrari virtually, but Cheever for the moment able to fend him off. Meantime, back in this Audi fight, Van Thor is losing touch, isn't he now?
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Seidler. What was 8/10 has gone to be an even greater margin. And looks like it's perhaps job done for Seidler. He stood his ground, he's fended them off, and now he's building the gap again.
Absolutely, the gap has been over the last couple of laps extending. It's only by small fractions, but it's been extending. And he will know that from what he can see in his mirrors. He will know that he's pulled out maybe 6-8 car lengths over Dries Van Thor over those last couple or so laps. Dries Van Thor, of course, got Christopher Hauser over him, Fred Verviche behind, then Matej Rudy, Kelvin van der Linde. So there's a lot of honour amongst all these Audi teams and drivers who will be the first of the Audi drivers. In the meantime, Norbert Seidler's been given a bit of a free pass.
Absolutely, he's away and gone, isn't he now? But Maro Engel, nearly 10 seconds clear up the road. The HRT Mercedes has absolutely dominated this race. And there, look, in the background, almost a change, because we had there, you could see the Audi dive to the inside, Kelvin van der Linde having a go at Matej Rudy, WRT versus Attempto, no change, but it was close. Leaders go by once more.
But Kelvin van der Linde, from what we remember, race in Imola was excellent. Some of his overtakes outstanding, so he has got good feel, good skills under braking. That was an attempt in a difficult part of the racetrack. There are other, well, here's the most likely place, but you've got to be nearer to the tail of Matteo Drudi, you're never going to make a pass. You've got 4 or 6 car lengths between you and the other car.
Out to the Adelaide hairpin again. Look, cheeky challenge comes on Hasse from Vervish. Matteo Drudi, absolute best within sector 1. Drudi is in 6th place then. It means he's the penultimate car in this queue as the drivers now flick their way into the Nürburgring chicane once more. Kelvin van der Linde is the man at the back of this train of cars. Van der Linde running in 7th. Marciello is 8th. 9th is Yusuf Puhaka leading the Silver Cup in Mercedes number 2 ahead of Hamza Abega. So we've had a change for the lead of the Silver Cup now. The quick Finn, Yusuf Puhaka up to 9th overall, but the Silver Cup lead.
So Drudi, Kelvin van der Linde thinking about a move, but did he get it? Certainly he's flustered, absolutely, almost got the side-by-side on the run out of Chateaudeau, down the hill, door handle to door handle, Kelvin van der Linde on the inside as they come down into Lycée. But will he overrun?
Yes, he will.
He has overrun.
Drudi gets the place back then, so great idea by Kelvin van der Linde, stood his ground but just couldn't get the car slowed down, gained the place, ran wide, and Drudi saw it coming, nipped up the inside, and he's got his 6th place back.
And he's done up the inside again. So we got, what do you call it, Kelvin van der Linde's gone through into Grand Cours.
So van der Linde worked hard for that, and he's finally done it. He goes 6th then, so now released. What can he do about Fred Vervish? The background, Raffaele Marciello ahead of Puhaka. This was the exit of the chicane, and this is where it was take 2 for van der Linde.
Yeah, and he suddenly just dived up the inside, got alongside, which he had to do before he went to Grand Cours. That was a great exit out of the chicane for van der Linde. Don't know where he got the grip, the drive, but he did it, and he got through where he needed to get through, moved up 1 place.
But look how much time they've lost by squabbling like that. Meantime, Van Thor still having a go at Seidler, but he's got to make up 1.2 seconds. Now, has he shaken off Hasse sufficiently to be able to concentrate on bringing down that gap? Can he bring down that gap with just over 12 minutes to go?
In a word, in my view, no. But I would like to be wrong.
I'm inclined to agree, because if he hasn't done it by now, it's looking unlikely, isn't it?
I mean, Norbert Seidler has got 1.2 seconds advantage over Dries Van Thor, but it might as well be 1 minute 20 seconds, because Van Thor's thrown everything that he's got and trying to run down the Lamborghini. Maro Engel, look at him, he's gone. 12 seconds advantage.
Pole race win potentially, fastest lap as well to the number 4 Mercedes. Maro Engel goes by. That now then puts 28 laps in the book. Engel clear in the lead by 11 seconds from Norbert Seidler, and still in 3rd place is Dries Van Thor. There they go. The gap between them is still 1.2 seconds. So the Austrian driver Norbert Seidler hanging on to position. Belgian driver Dries Van Thor is 3rd. 4th Christopher Hasse for Audi. 5th Fred Vervish for Audi. 6th Kelvin van der Linde for Audi. 7th Matteo Drudi for Audi. So you've got a whole cluster of them, but they can't get any higher than 3rd overall.
And the gap between 2nd and 3rd still hovering around that 1.2 seconds. It's been there roughly for the last 5-6 laps.
A little bit of dust kicked up in the background coming on the run up towards the Adelaide hairpin, and there under attack is Hasse from Vervish. No change in the order, but Fred Vervish crawling all over the back of him as he has been for many a lap. But again, where does he make his move? It's not going to be at the chicane. He needs to perhaps rattle Hasse into a mistake, but here you've got winners of 24-hour races. Both they know all about racing in the darkness.
And just all you have to do is place your car that little bit nearer to the entry into a corner, and that precludes Fred Vervish from doing anything. Now, we saw that well-executed pass begin. Kelvin van der Linde up at Chateaudeau at the top of the circuit. It finally got executed going to Grand Cours. That's all you can imagine Fred Vervish can think about trying to do with Christopher Hasse. Quick up the hill, but not again close enough. But watch this, the exit, the run down the hill, down to Lycée. So Fred Vervish not as close to the Audi he's pursuing as we saw a little earlier from Kelvin van der Linde and Matteo Drudi.
Again, closing up under braking with the brakes glowing there. Frederic Vervish, the Belgian driver, all over the back of the German driver, Christopher Hasse. Out of the chicane they flick. And now over the timing line once more as we enter the final 10 minutes of what's been a pretty lively hour. I know that the Mercedes has disappeared up the road up front, but there's been an awful lot to talk about. The headlight spotting skills have improved as well, as there Hasse fends off the Attempto run car of Frederic Vervish. So the best of the Audis is WRT, then Sansalot, then Attempto.
Yeah, just one of the Audis. I think it might have been Christopher Hasse just kicking up dust. Maybe Dries Van Thor on the exit of Estoril. Gap, actually, believe it or not, Well, it was down just under 10 seconds first to second, back up to 10.7 seconds. So it's just depending where you are, whatever the traffic around you might be. But this, quintet of Audis have got no answer to the pace of Norbert Siedler and the Emil Frey Lamborghini.
No, that's got stronger and stronger, hasn't it? Once he fended off Van Thor, he was able to build that gap, as you were saying, by the odd 10th here and there, and now he's managed to get away. Now Vervish is not giving up. Factory driver Vervish on the back of factory Audi driver Hazard, the two of them absolutely together. Kelvin van der Linde chasing them down, another Audi factory driver. The real disappointment in this, sadly, is Raffaele Marciello, who just can't get close enough to the Audis. He's still stuck there in 8th place. That car, of course, it did lose time early on, but then the safety car brought it back into the game. So that Mercedes has really struggled.
Yes, it has. I don't know whether there was any damage when Boguslavski got clobbered, whether that has affected some of the toe-in on the front steering or some of the suspension, but certainly it's not a typical Raffaele Marciello charge through the field, which we would have anticipated.
Out of the chicane, 8 minutes and change on the clock. Hazard goes through just ahead of Vervish. So Maro Engel, winner of the Nürburgring 24 Hours, leads outright. There, number 2, Mercedes. This is interesting. This is Juuso Pohakka leading Silver Cup. But look, he's on the back of Raffaele Marciello here. So Lello Marciello might just get a bit of a workover from the rather impudent young gun, the Finn Pohakka, right there on the back of one of the Mercedes maestros.
Well, I would not be surprised to see that Silver Cup number 2 Mercedes actually get onto equal terms with Raffaele Marciello. It's almost as if Marcello's just resigned to bring the car back just under 8 minutes of the race remaining. Look at the lights flash. Oh, there's a problem. He is sparking. There's something sparking on the left side. So whether that is car damage or a tyre deflating, a left front deflating, but you could see clearly sparks coming from around that right or left front on the Raffaele Marciello.
As it was in Boguslavski's stint, wasn't it? We had the car with the problem early on, so even with a new tyre, it's still got something that's causing all that so late in the race.
You can see it been clearly everywhere around the lap. That left front is dragging now. The number 2 almost in a position to overtake Raffaele Marciello, and that's a walking wounded number 88 Mercedes.
So 8th it is, 9th it might be soon, because Juuso Pohakka finally being able to make a name for himself in Europe. Very, very talented young Finn. Went off to race Lamborghinis in Asia because there was a deal to be done there, and it's better than not racing anywhere. Now he's back in Europe, and underlining just how quick he is. He's normally pretty error-free as well, and as I say, he's right there on the back now of Marciello with just under 7 minutes to go. 8th and 9th overall. Pohakka closing up. Now Marciello is going to have to use all of his guile to keep that car ahead, because clearly Pohakka is quicker.
He is. Now we're just waiting to see whether the Mercedes, the 88, is still sparking as much as we saw it at the beginning of the previous lap. Certainly it was doing it on the exit of Grand Cours, and then on the exit again of Estoril. It's when the car loads up on the left-hand side. So whether anything can be done or not, I'm not quite sure whether I thought hopefully the pace would be there with the number 2 Mercedes, but I've yet to be persuaded whether Juuso Pohakka can.
This is the Pro-Am leader, Giancarlo Fisichella's Ferrari, having taken over from Jonathan Gui. And Fisichella, who would have raced him in Formula 1, comes then now through the approach to the Adelaide hairpin. There, also in the Silver Cup, is Hamza Ovega, 2nd in the Audi. Did lead his class early on, and he's dropping away in that car. So not only is Pohakka giving Marciello a tough time, but he's also getting away from the class opposition. 5.5 minutes to go. But it's been a really impressive run, hasn't it, by the HRT Mercedes. Maro Engel taking over from Lucas Stolz, and that car has just been in a class of its own.
I don't think you had to be Einstein to work out that was going to be a very, very strong car, team, driver lineup. They've got pole position in qualifying. They've dictated and dominated the entire race to date with 5 minutes remaining. So put 2 good professional drivers together, let them do the job in qualifying, get clear of all the trouble that was occurring, particularly in lap 1 down into the Adelaide hairpin bend, and really winning a race is not that difficult.
So just under 5 minutes of it to go. Interestingly, we're still getting absolute bests in sectors. Mattia Drudi has done an absolute best sector 1. Giancarlo Fisichella an absolute best in sector 2. And there is the outright race leading car. Maro Engel then started this lap nearly 11 seconds clear of Norbert Siedler. This lap being lap 33. Seidler in second. Dries van Thor looks like he's going to have to content himself with third place.
And just on the other Ferrari, the 52 Ferrari, Andrea Bertolini, he set fastest overall sector time, sector 2. It just makes you wonder, if you put Bertolini and Fisichella into a Ferrari, that car would automatically be elevated to the front of this race. I would love to see 2 pro drivers in a Ferrari, in a sprint, an endurance, and a 24-hour whatever.
That's because we have Ferraris in the classes, but not an overall Ferrari to talk about. In terms of an overall top speed, Jules Gounon has the best in this race before his demise. Hansero Vega, interestingly, second. Simon Gachet, who took over from Stephen Palette, third best of the top speeds, and that car 13th after its puncture and its delay with the spinning Ferrari.
But what's notable is this: the lead car, the car that's led from lights out to, 3.5 minutes to go, isn't within the top 6 in terms of top speed. So it's not just simply having a quick car in a straight line. It helps in certain situations, mainly at the end of the straight, but it's about lap time, about the balance of aerodynamic and road and wheel and tyre mechanical grip.
Yeah, that top speed powered by AWS graphic. Fascinating to see who does what and where the quick cars are in relation to the race order. It's a real shame we've lost Gounon. Now, Seidler versus Van Thor. Gaps come right down again. It was only 3/10 when they went across the line. Dries van Thor having one last roll of the dice here to try to take second place before the very end.
He dropped back, or he was dropped, I can't remember, but side by side indeed.
Side by side for fourth place, Verviche on the inside of Haase as they come up towards the Adelaide hairpin, and through goes Verviche, and also they're having a go. It's going to be Kelvin van der Linde, so Haase has lost 1 place and he might lose 2. They lean on each other. Kelvin van der Linde is on the inside for the first flick into the chicane. Is he going to be able to do it?
Well,
almost. They both go off. Haase's still ahead.
Haase's just about ahead. Neither was going to give an inch. Now Kelvin van der Linde tries to go the long way around. He's found grip, but again, the Dodgem cars banging door handles to door handles. This is going to end up sadly because Kelvin van der Linde is going to lose that place.
Mathieu Drudy joins the party. Drudy's all over the back of him.
I think Drudy's got ahead.
He has indeed. 55 goes through, so Kelvin van der Linde trying to gain the place actually loses one. They're all still going, which is good news for Audi, but it was a bit touch and go.
Van der Linde now comes up alongside Drudy yet again. It's almost a replay of what we saw 5 or 6 laps ago. Side by side, down the hill into Lise. So Kelvin van der Linde's got the upper hand. Initially he overran when he did it the previous time, got his position back, but that would be big frustration. He thought he was going to get ahead of Christopher Haase. He thought he had it all done, and it didn't work out.
Great racing. Gaps have opened up as a consequence. It's still Seidler ahead of Van Thor, which is where this all started, remember. And then we got another lap of action out of Verviche and Haase and van der Linde and Drudy all the way back to 7th place. Now can Norbert Seidler hang on in there for 2 more laps, because that's what we've got left on the clock now, look.
0.3 of a second is the gap between second and third.
So up towards the Adelaide hairpin they come. The Lamborghini, as we know, good in a straight line, and Van Thor has just dropped back a length. But now, look, he is being reeled in by Fred Verviche, who finally, having got past Christopher Haase, is away. He is virtually up with his fellow countrymen.
Absolutely. And I mean, undoubtedly releasing Verviche or releasing Kelvin van der Linde would have changed a lot of the complexion of this battle going on for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th.
So there through is the Lamborghini. Absolute best first sector. Frederic Verviche then with a lap to go at the end of this. He is trying everything to get up behind Van Thor, and if Dries can't get past the Lamborghini, then very shortly he will have to defend from Frederic Verviche.
And Fred is not often one to be denied.
No, I think I would agree with you on that. Very experienced racer is Fred Verviche in GT3, in TCR, had a spell in single-seaters in America. Here's the battle then, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So Seidler, a few laps ago, we thought had broken the back of the Audi challenge. Now he's got 2 of them queued up behind him once again. And again, look, so late on the brakes is Van Thor coming into the chicane. Last lap, though, for Maro Engel. What a performance.
Textbook effort by the team, the pit lane, the 2 drivers. Going across start-finish line, they had 11.3 seconds advantage onto the final lap. And this is the battle that, Fred Verviche getting very close to Dries van Thor. Could be wrong-footed on the outside. The Lamborghini goes through side by side. How did Verviche get away with that? Unbelievable. Well, he hasn't. He's been forced wide in the exit of Estoril.
Last lap at Magny Cours, race 1. Drama in the dark. Van Thor back up into 3rd place. Verviche down to 4th. They were side by side. Fred Vervisch has not given up, and nor has Dries van Voor given up in his quest to try to unsettle Norbert Siedler for second place. Lamborghini, Audi in that train of cars coming off the hairpin. Siedler still second, and Dries van Voor repels the challenge of Vervisch. Great racing.
Took a load of courage for Fred Vervisch to go the long way around on the outside of Dries van Voor. Nearly got it done, but just the two Audis were creeping further and further to the edge of the racetrack. Vervisch had to get out of the throttle. He was getting the left rear, right, left front, kissing the gravel, so he was denied. But well, what amazing racing from Fred Vervisch.
So it's going to be a dominant display by HRT. The Mercedes clearing the lead by over 11 seconds. Here it comes. Lukas Stolz started it. Maro Engel brings it home. Mercedes will win at Magny Cours, the first GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup visit here. Mercedes wins at Magny Cours. Lukas Stolz and Maro Engel for HRT. Victorious. Who is going to be second? It should be Emil Frey Racing's Lamborghini. It is, but Norbert Siedler skips the curb. Here he comes up towards the timing line. So Mikael Grenier and Norbert Siedler take second. Great defence. Third over the timing line. Dries van Voor and Charles Weerts, the championship leaders, just ahead of Fred Vervisch, who brings home 66. The car started by Nicolas Schurl, and that did really well on the pit stop and in his stint. Silver Cup honours, number 2, Juuso Pohakka brings the car that was started by Oscar Tunjo across the line to finish 9th overall, still behind Marciello, but to win the Silver Cup. And Pro-Am won by Jonathan Hui and Giancarlo Fisichella. Ferrari victorious in Pro-Am.
Well, I tell you what, that was 1 hour of limitless excitement.
Absolutely flew by. So a great effort, Giancarlo Fisichella to win Pro-Am. There is another of the Silver Cup cars. This is Axel Jeffries bringing home the Mad Panda Motorsport Mercedes that lost a lap early on, you remember. Also in Pro-Am, Ferrari of Andrea Bertolini comes across the line. That is going to be 2, 3, 4th in Pro-Am. A good effort, very good effort by Giancarlo Fisichella, as we were saying, to score the class win. But I mean, there are many impressive drives in that race, in both stints.
I mean, it was great racing. I mean, I can't wait for tomorrow afternoon's 1 hour sprint race. I mean, it's been, I was to say, it's been blinding in the dark. Well, it may have been blinding literally and metaphorically. But I mean, they certainly, all those group of Audi drivers went at it hammer and tongs. But just a superlative drive from the number 4 Mercedes. Lukas Stolz starting, Maro Engel finishing, and that is a copybook way to win a race.
Well, Lukas Stolz and Maro Engel, who are a very evenly matched partnership, both experienced drivers with a good car, good teamwork. I mean, all the boxes ticked there, and they come out the winners of the 4th Sprint Cup race of the GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS this year. The drivers then will, those that have finished the race today, qualify tomorrow morning at something like 7:30. And of course start tomorrow's race. So there's more drama tomorrow. Of course it'll be a lunchtime race and therefore in the daylight, but for tonight, what a performance by HRT. Let's look at the results of race 1 at Magny Cours. Lukas Stolz and Maro Engel, the winners for Mercedes. Lamborghini second, courtesy of Mikael Grenier and Norbert Siedler. Audi third, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Third going the way of Charles Weerts and Dries van Voor, ahead of Nicolas Schurl, Fred Vervisch, Arthur Rougier and Christopher Haase 5th. Ryoichiro Tomita and Kelvin van der Linde 6th, and Tommaso Mosca and Matteo Drudi dropping back to 7th. Mercedes 8-9, Timo Boguslavski, Raffaele Marciello ahead of Oscar Tunjo and Juuso Pohakka that win the Silver Cup. 10th, the brothers Ovega, Yusuf and Hamza, who are second in silver. 11th, the winning Pro-Am car, Giancarlo Fisichella and Jonathan Hui's Ferrari. But there, one of the few unmarked cars, one of the few that didn't really have a lot to do other than just not make errors. The Mercedes of Lukas Stolz and Maro Engel with a very impressive display here at Magny Cours.
Yeah, it'll just be a bit of a chamois down for the number 4 Mercedes. Put it to bed and maybe a Spaniard check, just ensure all the functions on the car are as they should be. But, well, it doesn't get any better than we've just seen from the number 4 Mercedes.
Lukas Stolz there to greet his co-driver. Maro Engel delighted with that. They didn't seem to have the pace a week ago in the Endurance Cup at the Nürburgring, but here that's just been a mighty domination of the day. Qualifying and the race, everything falls to HRT, and the car looks like it could go for another 23 hours.
It probably will have to in about a month's time, or just over a month. Maybe not in quite such pleasant and clement conditions as we have at Magny Cours. We might need a snowplow at some point.
Oh, yeah, little faith. might have a lock-in at the bar. There, number 32, Dries van Thor, Charles Weerts, the Audi drivers. More points for the championship, and Van Thor, as we had seen, through everything, didn't he, at Norbert Siedler? Well, a brilliant effort from Maro Engel and Lucas Stoltz. They can tell us all about it. Gemma Scott is down there.
Maro, a fantastic final stint from yourself there. The pace was absolutely incredible all weekend. From pole through to a win.
Yeah, big thank you to the team. They gave us an absolute beauty of a Mercedes-AMG GT3. It was such a pleasure to drive, and this guy did the job in qualifying, put us on pole, which was a perfect place to start. And yeah, just a great race, great pit stop. So a big thanks to the HRT guys.
Well done to you, and Luca, of course, like Mara says, you did the hard work yesterday or earlier on in qualifying and set the standard.
Yeah, like starting from pole always helps, but I know it's a team effort. The team did a great job in pit stop, and Mauro brought it home. So we're really happy now. P1, first time this season. So yeah, want to do the same tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Great effort. 11.5 seconds clear at the end of the race, and that car just never missed a beat. We didn't see it up the curve, we didn't see it locking up. It was just metronomic.
Yeah, I mean, once they had the lead, they were able to pull away because there was so much fighting and squabbling going on behind them, and they could have probably finished 20 seconds ahead if they needed to.
So good second place for Norbert Siedler and Mikael Grenier. The Lamborghini drivers. Great defence, Norbert Siedler to hang on to second place. They are also now with Gemma.
A fantastic stint for you guys there, showing that the Lamborghini absolutely had pace this weekend.
Yes, we're really pleased about the day. I think we had a good quali this morning. We tried to go aggressive with the setup for the race. It was a bit too much, so we were a bit defending through the whole race, but we did a really good job. Norbert had a lot of pressure for 30 minutes and he did really well, so we are very pleased. We improved a lot the pit stop as well, so congrats to the team.
Absolutely, Norbert. That last stint there, that last half an hour, you had the pressure of Dries behind you, really pushing hard, but just couldn't get enough out of his car to match yours.
Yes, first of all, I have to say thank you to Mick and to the whole team. They did an amazing job over the weekend, and yeah, finally we are on the podium now. Yes, my stint was beginning quite hard. In the middle, I had a bit more speed than Dries maybe, but at the end, I got some more oversteer and I just had to fight. But at the end, P2, very happy for the team, and yeah, great to be back in the championship.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, great defence by Norbert Siedler, who initially made a name for himself in GT terms in Porsche Cups, both the German and the Porsche Super Cup, but now showing that he's versatile in lots of different GT machines. So Mercedes ahead of Lamborghini, and then of course for third place, Audi, Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts. But there's a very happy Sean Breslin there with his drivers from HRT, and they're the top three from the classes, all in the Parc Fermé area. Dries van Thor and Charles Weerts ready to reflect on third place at the end of the opening race of the weekend. Let's hear from them now with Gemma.
Dries, that last stint there, the last half an hour of the race, you really put the pressure onto the Lamborghini ahead of you, but you just seemed unable to catch them.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say I had a bet with somebody if I would win, we would have something nice, but fortunately, hopefully P3 is good as well, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I tried everything to get by the Lambo. I had my opportunity, but unfortunately I didn't use it myself, which I'm quite disappointed about. But yeah, the Lambo just has very good torque and has a good top speed, so it was difficult to get by. But at the end, it got very close again because he made a mistake out of the chicane, and I thought I could get my moment, but I was too close, so I almost hit him, and then I had to defend for Fred, which was very close at the end as well. But yeah, I'm very happy with P3. We got good points for the championship, and that's our main goal.
Great drive, Chris. Great drive, thank you. And Charles, of course, the track out there looked pretty immense. There was a lot of action with punctures, a lot of people losing tyres. What was it like out there?
Yeah, I mean, the start was pretty good. And then, yeah, I had some good overtakings. So, yeah, I was P3. And I struggled a bit with the balance of the car. But, yeah, Dries and the guys at the pit stop did a good job, as per usual. Now we are used to. And, yeah, it's good points for the championship with P3, so pleased.
It's points that count. Well done, boys.
Thank you.
Well, they've had a very good start to the season. 2 race wins and now a third place. So it's looking good for them as far as points are concerned. And as John was suggesting earlier, tomorrow's race in the daylight might be very different indeed. Right, the drivers now being called forward. We have the overall and the class podiums to look at. So the drivers will stand to one side. They'll be called forward, collect the trophies, then go and stand in front of the backdrop. And so for third place, there is the Czech, the teams that are entered in both the Endurance and the Sprint Cup. Dries van Voor and Charles Weert take their trophies and step forward. Third place then to the Belgian Audi Club team WRT, pairing the tall Charles Weert and the diminutive Dries van Voor here at Magny. Then for second place, it will be for Emil Frey Racing's Lamborghini, Norbert Siedler and Mikael Grenier, who step forward as the second place crew. Good first stint by Mikael Grenier to get the car up there. Norbert Siedler an excellent second stint in order to hang on to the position. And Norbert Siedler and Mikael Grenier second at Magny. But the fourth Sprint Cup race of the season goes the way of Mercedes. For HRT, it is a win for Maro Engel and Lukas Stolz. Collect trophies. Sean Breslin is there to collect the team's award, and they make their way to the backdrop. Trophies in the air, team's trophy, and €12,500, which will go some way to the mechanics bar bill, no doubt, for the winning team. So that's the overall podium, notional podium, conducted. And then we turn to the Silver Cup, where in third place we have the ACA ASP Mercedes of Benjamin Haytes and Jim Pla, the Chilean and the French driver, step forward. So a good result for the Silver Trio. Championship being led by Ezequiel Perez Companc. That was a disappointing result. Now stepping forward, second of the Silvers, Hamza and Josef Ovega. And they take their trophies and make their way to the backdrop. And then the class winners, really impressive drive, and it's a team new to racing at this level. Top Sport WRT, Top Sport World Rally team, emphasise the word rally. Mercedes of Oscar Tunjo and Justo Pohaka, victorious in Silver Cup. Drivers collect their trophies, make their way to the backdrop, and an excellent job done by the Silver drivers, young guns, who catch up in the Silver Cup. So well done to Justo Pohaka and to Tunjo, the Colombian driver. So a job well done for Top Sport WRT, making a name for itself as a squad. It's made the season in the GT World Challenge. And so then we turn to Pro-Am, where for third in the class, up will come Dominic Baumann and Valentin Pierburg, the SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes. Was hustled along very effectively by Dominic Baumann. The championship being led by Chris Froggatt and Eddie Cheever, from Louis Machiels and Andrea Bertolini, then Phil Keane third. Here are the second place drivers. So Chris Froggatt and his co-driver Eddie Cheever step forward, take their trophies. The double attack we have here this weekend, Sky Tempesta Racing and Happy Crew taking second in class. Eddie Cheever with the Italian flag next to his overalls, Italian-American family. But it's a class win for a very happy Jonathan Hui and for Giancarlo Fisichella. They are the Pro-Am winners for Sky Tempesta Racing. Team's trophy presented as well as the drivers step forward. So Jonathan Hui and Giancarlo Fisichella are victorious in Pro-Am at the end of race one, GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Sprint Cup. So the drivers head for a few hours kip before qualifying at the crack of whatnots tomorrow morning, and then they will get set for the race. Now, as far as the championship is concerned, Charles Weert, Dries van Voor still lead from Calvin van der Linde and then Raffaele Marciello, with Timur Bogoslaski, of course, third with his Italian teammate. That win, though, brings Engel and Stolz to within half a point of Marciello and Bogoslaski, ahead of Hassa and then Bortolossi. Let's look back then on the best bits of race one. In the darkness, drama from the get-go as the cars plunged into the unknown into turn one. It was a good start by Lukas Stoll. He led in, he led out. Others perhaps less fortunate. Stephen Palat had already picked up a puncture before the race started. He had had to pit, and it meant that on the run up for the Adelaide hairpin, 1 or 2 cars were out of position, but it also meant there were plenty of good scraps going on as the order shuffled around. Stephen Palat, though, very frustrated. He had to serve this stop as the rest of the field burst into the race. It was a really quick pit stop by Sandrock to get him on track. Drama continued, Giacomo Altway being tagged around by Nick Vishofer. Further up the road, the Lexus was turned around as well, and that retired with damage. Some great battles, though, raged on right the way through the field, all the way through the race, whether it was the first or the second stint. Most of it seemed to surround Audis. Early on, Ezequiel Perez compact was going really nicely, and eventually he ran out wide, lost ground, and ended up pitting and losing a lap. And there was the car on effectively 3 wheels with a punctured tyre as it limped back to the pit lane. 108 Bentley, Hugo Chevalier at the wheel, on his toes. Others spun behind him. Then Louis Mackiels had this moment, taking Stephen Palat with him, going down towards Estoril. Ferrari slithering off the road, and that brought out a full course yellow, which in turn became a safety car. This is how Chris Broggett saw it. Drama happening ahead of him. Throughout all of this, it was the number 4 Mercedes that led. The green flag was issued just before the pit window opened. Slightly delayed on his departure, Dries van Thor, but he stayed ahead of Christopher Haase, and he stayed there to the end as well. Lukas Stoll built the lead, handed the car over to Mauro Engel. It had been a dominant first stint, and the second stint was just the same as the Mercedes rejoined the race. After a bit of contact, off went Jules Gounod. That was Bentley 107 in the wall and into retirement. Then the battle was on between Kelvin van der Linde and Mathieu Drudy. Van der Linde gaining the place on the inside, heading down towards turn 1. And more drama ensued as well as Fred Verbeek got past Haase. Kelvin van der Linde then came up to attack the German driver, but he couldn't find a way through. Other drivers were losing orientation altogether. Battles, though, between the Audis raged to the very end. In the end of it, Kelvin van der Linde forced out wide by Christopher Haase. Van der Linde down in 6th, Haase 5th, Verbeek 4th, Van Thor 3rd, Seidler 2nd. But a race win for Mauro Engel and Lukas Stoll as the battle for 3rd went right down to the wire. Van Thor just fending off Fred Verbeek. Mauro Engel and Lukas Stoll, race winners. There's more of the same tomorrow from Magny Cours, but for now, from Gemma Scott, John Watson and David Addison, it's good night.